please hit that subscribe button.
Hey everybody.
Better suited to win the Stanley Cup this season. If you are new to the channel, Washington Capitals, the Boston Bruins.
Locked on and he scored! And we're live. Hey everybody. So in this video, I want to talk about 10 players in the NHL who I think will be on new teams starting next season in 2020-2021. For various different reasons, I just think these players will not be back with the team that they are currently with and will be on a new team come next season. Obviously, these aren't the only 10 players in the league who will be changing teams. There's going to be a lot more than that, but these are 10 pretty notable guys who I think will be on new teams next season. So let's get into it. Before we start, I just ask that you please subscribe if you are new and hit that like button if you haven't already, as both of those things greatly help out the channel. But let's start here at number 10 with goaltender Jimmy Howard, currently with the Detroit Red Wings. Absolutely abysmal season this year for Jimmy Howard. He hasn't won a game since October. His numbers are absolutely horrible, but obviously the team in front of him is horrible as well. And when you have Jimmy Howard playing bad and you have the team in front of him being bad, you combine that together and you have downright terrible. And that's what he was. However, I do think Jimmy Howard can still be a decent backup, veteran backup type goaltender. I mean, he's a good goalie. He's been very good in the past. He's had a strong NHL career with the Red Wings, and I think if you put a good team in front of him, I think he's obviously going to be significantly better than he was this past season. So, you know, I think Howard is going. He's not going to be back in Detroit, but I do think he could get a job somewhere as a veteran backup, particularly a place with a young starting goalie where you're looking for that veteran presence to kind of be the backup, play 25, 30 games. And you know, just be kind of a security blanket for the young goalie that you have starting. A team like Washington immediately comes to mind, where I don't think Braden Holtby is going back to the Capitals. I think Ilya Samsonov is the goalie of the future and the now, but he's still very young. They could bring in somebody like Jimmy Howard to be the veteran backup. And there are a number of other guys they could possibly look at as well. Mike Smith, Thomas Greiss, maybe a few others. But I do think Howard is could play that kind of role very effectively. And I do think he's going to be with a new team next season. Number 9, we have goaltender Thomas Greiss from the New York Islanders. The Islanders have, you know, signed Semyon Varlamov to a pretty, not a long deal, but, you know, he's still got 3 years left on his contract. So Varlamov is the guy with the Islanders now, and I don't know, you know, they're going to have to pay Matt Barzal a huge raise this offseason. He's an RFA. They're going to have to get him signed to a long-term contract. They have J.G. Pajot signed now to a long-term contract that goes into effect starting next season, the extension that they gave him right after the trade deadline. So cap-wise, I don't know if they're going to be able to pay for Thomas Greiss, who basically can be either an A-grade backup or even like a 1A type starter. I don't know if New York's going to be able to bring him back financially, so I do think he's going to test the market, go out and try and get bigger money somewhere else. And I don't think, with Varlamov there kind of as the number 1 now, I do think that Greiss ends up looking elsewhere and ending up with a new team next season. Number 8, we have defenseman Travis Hamonic from the Calgary Flames. Calgary is another team that is pretty tight up against the cap. Obviously, with everything going on, the cap, which was supposed to be going significantly higher for next season, now looks like it's not going to be going up at all because of all the lost revenue, or could possibly even, and this would be a disaster for teams, possibly go down. Calgary probably isn't going to have the money to re-sign Hamonic. They've got some other players that they need to take care of, I think, that are probably higher on the priority list than Travis Hamonic. So I do see him hitting free agency and probably ending up with a new team next season. And he most likely won't be back with Calgary. Number 7, we have Wayne Simmonds, right wing for the Buffalo Sabres. I still don't understand why Wayne Simmonds was ever sent to the Buffalo Sabres. But that's a moot point at this point in the process of things. But that still baffles me that trade even happened back at the deadline. But Wayne Simmonds is once again a free agent this offseason, and there's no reason for him to stay in Buffalo. Why would Wayne Simmonds, who is now on the back part of his career, on the decline, I mean, clearly the offense isn't there anymore. I still think he can be a valuable player as a veteran energy guy, a checker, somebody who will stand up for his teammates and fight and be a good leader in the locker room. The 25, 30 goal days are long gone for Wayne Simmonds, but he still can be a good bottom six winger and play in a very solid leadership role. And I think a team is going to want him for that. I do see Simmonds getting signed this offseason. I don't see him wanting to stay in Buffalo at all. They're a team that's nowhere near Stanley Cup level. Simmonds is still looking for his first Stanley Cup. I think he's going to try and go to a playoff level at least team and go somewhere where he can possibly win. Number 6, we have Ilya Kovalchuk, left wing, who finished the season with the Washington Capitals. Again, because of the Capitals cap situation, I don't think Ilya Kovalchuk is coming back. I think he's going back to Montreal. Quite honestly, I think Ilya Kovalchuk's going back to Montreal. Once he signed with Montreal last year, he played much, much better than I ever thought he was going to with them. He fit in nicely with that group. He was really productive for the player that he is and the age that he is at this point. I think that's a very good fit for him. So I think Kovalchuk, who is a free agent this offseason, is going to sign right back with Montreal and play next year with the Canadiens, because I think that's a very good fit for him. Number 5, we have goaltender Braden Holtby from the Washington Capitals. Like I said earlier, I don't think Holtby is going back to Washington. They don't have the money to pay Braden Holtby. They just gave Nick Backstrom this massive contract extension. They didn't have a lot of cap space to work with to begin with. Holtby, who had a pretty rough year this season, is still, his work before this year speaks for itself. He's in a high level NHL goalie. He is going to get a pretty big contract this offseason. I don't see him going back with the Capitals. Ilya Samsonov is going to be the Capitals starting goaltender next year, in my opinion, and Holtby is going to be on a new team, a different team. Where that is, that remains to be seen. There's a lot of speculation about that, but I do think that he will not be back with Washington. Number 4, we have defenseman Tyson Barrie from the Toronto Maple Leafs. I don't think Barrie is going back to Toronto. Toronto is another, that salary cap issue. Toronto is another team with major money problems, and I don't think they're going to be able to sign Tyson Barrie for what he's going to fetch on the open market. And, I mean, quite frankly, Barrie wasn't spectacular this year. Sure, he put up some points, and he's an offensive defenseman. That's what he does, but he was really bad in his own zone. He's a defensive liability a lot of the time. And, Toronto is a team that needs to be improving their defense, getting better defensively. Tyson Barrie in no way makes you better defensively. So I really think he goes to another team, probably maybe a different kind of team that already has that strong defense in place, but might be looking to add a little bit of offense from the back end. I think Tyson Barrie goes elsewhere this season, or next season. Number 3, we have Kevin Shattenkirk, who played this year with the Tampa Bay Lightning, another defenseman, and really resurrected his career this year with the Tampa Bay Lightning. After a brutal stretch with the New York Rangers, Shattenkirk looks like he might have even been headed towards out of the league, and then came back and had a great season with Tampa Bay this year. Now, I don't see him going back to Tampa Bay, even though it worked out really well and he had a great year with them. He is going to cost too much money at this point. Tampa got him on a very cheap contract for this season, on a very cheap one-year deal, because he was so bad with the New York Rangers. Now he looks good again. He looks like a legit top 4 defenseman again. He's going to be due for a significant raise money-wise. And I think that there are teams out there that will give it to him. Tampa Bay, with their current cap situation, cannot afford to give it to him. They have a ton of RFAs that they have to re-sign. Anthony Cirelli, Mikhail Sergachev, Eric Chernak. They've got a lot of RFAs that they need to take care of. Kevin Shattenkirk, a 30-plus-year-old defenseman, is not going to be super high on their priority list. I think signing the younger guys is. So Shattenkirk's probably going to be in a new uniform next year. Number 2, we have Robin Lehner, goalkeeper from the Vegas Golden Knights. He started the year with Chicago, got traded to Vegas at the deadline. I don't. He's a starting level goaltender. Robin Lehner, I don't understand how he doesn't have a full-time starting job at this point. After the past 2 seasons, the way he played last season with the New York Islanders, and then this past season with Chicago and into Vegas, he's been an incredibly good goaltender. And I really think at some point he's going to get a starting job. I don't know where necessarily, but somebody is going to give him significant money, more money than Vegas has the cap space for. And I don't think he wants to necessarily, because if you're playing in Vegas, you are there to back up Marc-Andre Fleury. I mean, Marc-Andre Fleury is going to play 60-plus games over the course of the season, leaving about 20 to the backup. Robin Lehner is not going to play 20 games on the year. So he's going to go somewhere where he can at least split starts with somebody or be the starting goaltender himself. And finally, number 1, the big fish on the market, left wing Taylor Hall from the Arizona Coyotes. I do not see him going back with Arizona at all. They were going to miss the playoffs this year. They were not going to make the playoffs this year, even after trading for Hall. Had the season continued normally, Arizona would not have been in the postseason. So, I think, again, he's going to try and go out and find somewhere where he can maybe get on a playoff team. And there are obviously going to be plenty of suitors for Taylor Hall in free agency, as he's certainly probably the most talented player on the open market. Obviously, winning certainly hasn't followed him wherever he goes. But as far as talent goes and how high his ceiling is and how good of a player he can be, I do think there's going to be a big market for Taylor Hall, and he will be the big fish on the sea on the open market this summer, or whenever we get to free agency, depending on how this whole situation goes. But I think he's probably the biggest name that is going to change teams. So there you have it, guys. Those are 10 players that I think will very likely be on new teams starting next season and will not be with the team that they currently are on and are ending this season with. So with that, guys, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.